Hello, hello, lovely people. This is the first Devrel show of 2025. I guess I still can say Happy New Year. I think it's legit to say Happy New Year for the first week of the year. So we're closing in already. It's already 9th of January. It's crazy. January 9. But still, Happy New Year, everyone. You know what? I wish you health. I think that's the most important. Once you are LT, hopefully everything else set in place. So yeah, first episode of 2025. I have a super interesting schedule, amazing guest book for this year. Actually, in the plan for 2025 is about 20 episode of the Devrel show. So mostly one every 2 weeks, except during holidays, and soon I'm leaving for 3 weeks in India, so we won't have show during that time. But within the 20 episodes that are scheduled for the show this year, I only have 4 spots left. So I already booked 16 guests for this year. So let me start with that. If you are a developer advocate and you were not on the show yet, or you did not schedule with me already, and you want to be a guest on the show, please let me know. Just ping me on Twitter. There's my Twitter handle, or X. I refuse to say X. I still call this Twitter. My Twitter handle username is on the screen. If not, ping me on LinkedIn, email, my website, whatever. There is like a ton of way to reach out to me. Would love to have you on the show. You do not need to have a lot of experience as a developer advocate, or if your title is similar, like technical evangelist, like you do that kind of job. Would love to have you on the show. If you've seen episode before, or you're watching us today, you're going to see that, like, it's just, I always like to say that the Devrel show is two friends talking about developer relation. And also there's a part where you learn about some technical expertise, technology that the guest demo at the end. So on that note, I will stop talking about the Devrel show itself, and we will officially start the show. I have Samir with me today. Welcome to the Devrel show. How is life, man?
Hello. Yeah, life is pretty good. Like Happy New Year's also, and it's kind of late in France, but it's also like I think a great city. So thank you.
My pleasure, my pleasure. Yeah, so Samir is based in France, so it's kind of like 9 p.m. right now.
Yeah.
Samir, I'm pretty sure I told you we could have like scheduled this earlier, but I know you told me you're good with that time, so it's totally
Uh,
fine.
totally good with it, no problem.
Yeah, yeah. That and anyway, that's gonna be some fun. As I said, it's two friends talking about their rails, so that shouldn't be too painful to spend about 45 minutes an hour with me. Today's gonna be an interesting show. It's not the first time that happened, but we are two French-speaking person. Samir, I assume your first language is French.
Yeah.
Yeah, so same for me. Not the same kind of French though. Like we understand each other, but like Samir's in France, I'm in Quebec.
Yeah,
But
it's famous
both
Quebec one.
Quebecois.
You
I speak
translate
Quebecois.
everything.
Samir speaks French. But we understand each other unless we go with specific idiom. But do not worry, the show won't be in French. We will continue to do the show in English. With that said, Samir, for people that don't know you, who are you?
Yeah, so like I'm Samir, developer advocate at Gatling for now. I'm like French and Moroccan. And right now, yeah, I was software engineer and also right now more developer advocate.
So you're American too.
Yeah, Moroccan.
Moroccan,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. I said it like in French, English,
Yeah, Moroccan. Yeah.
Moroccan. Oh, that's I went once and I had such a great experience in Morocco.
Yeah, it's
Um,
pretty great. In fact, they have sun. They have some sun, great weather, better than France.
it was great.
French is like say what degree.
Yeah, yeah, no, the weather was very nice, and I do not mind France weather. I mean, I live in Canada, so France is not that cold for me. With that said, though, I used to work for a French-based startup that had an office in Paris, and
Yeah.
to be honest, I preferred winter in Canada than winter in Paris because it's way colder in Canada, like way much colder,
Yeah.
but it's not humid. where like
Oh,
when I was in Paris, like the humidity during most of the winter was like killing me. So it was not really, it was cold enough to say like, hey, it's winter, but the humidity was way too intense for me. Like that was going through my bones. And I was like, I prefer my dry minus 20
yeah.
Celsius in Canada.
Yeah, in fact, it's also sometimes it's not really cold. Cold in France. It's mostly like the wind, which is like pretty cold. And you're like, what the fuck is happening?
Yeah, yeah, no, no, that was the case. So, you said that you're a developer at Gatling. First, can you tell us a little bit what is Gatling?
So Gatling is like a load testing tool. Like to put simple, is DDoS as a service. So you send a lot of user into websites, API, gRPC application, video game, etc. And you see if your application crash, if it underwhelms the traffic, etc. It's mostly this Gatling.
Awesome. And you're a developer advocate there. So, as a developer advocate, it's one of the roles that have some kind of like the same task from one company to the other, but at the same time, not that much. It
Yeah.
can really be different from one company to the other. So, what are you doing as a developer advocate there?
So right now, I'm doing a lot of things because it's kind of like a startup, so it's not a lot of people. So I'm kind of doing like an ambassador program, like working on it, doing some conferences, API Day Paris, London, Meetup, also article, what I do next, video, and think, yeah, and also streaming with people like on Twitch, and that's it. I think if I don't forget something, but it's already a lot of things.
Yeah, no, no, always. I always say that like a developer advocate job is like 10 plus roles within one.
Yeah,
Like you're a technical writer, you're a social media manager, you're a public speaker, you're like a marketing person, you're like a technical support. Like there are like so many things that we do that go within the framework of like developer relation, and this is a constant. This is something that every developer advocate lives through. Like it's
mm,
even when you work in like a big corporation. I used to work at I was working in the name Microsoft. I used to work at Microsoft where we had like a lot of developer advocates, and even with the big team that we had like specific focus around technology or around like specific audience. But at the end of the day, I was still doing like 10 roles within one.
yeah, yeah. It's just that you focus on specific thing, like specific project, but it's the same thing at the end. Yeah.
Yeah. So, is there a team at Gatling? Are you the only one doing developer
So
relation?
right now, in terms of developer relation, I'm the only one, and I'm the like under the marketing team, but yeah, the only one doing developer advocate.
How does that work? Being a developer advocate within the marketing team.
In fact, it's pretty good because first, like I joined in May 2024, so it's pretty recent. Yeah, pretty recent. It's nearly 1 year, but it's pretty recent. And my manager, which is like the head of marketing, joined 1 month after me. So it's kind of like really good relationship because I maybe have also the chance to not be like in a big corporation, and
Mhm.
marketing is really linked to technology. Since Gatling is a like a developer tool, they really think about developers. So it's not like, okay, we will do marketing for people, we just put ads for developer and that's it. They really focus on technology. So it's pretty good. And in fact, also I'm under marketing, but I always have some chat with sales, technology, like the tech team. So it's good. It, it's the advantage of not being like at Microsoft like you and having a big corporation.
Yeah, yeah. There's some pro and cons of like being in the small startups, and also the other way around, being in a big company. Like when I was working for big or mid-sized company, the main thing that came in mind is that I had resources to do things, so I had budget, and I had like different teams that were able to help me do different things. Like in a startup, you do a lot of things together because you don't have other people to do part of the job. But yeah, as you said, like there's a way for you to define a little more what is developer relation within the marketing team. So that's a pretty great opportunity.
Yeah, and since before me, it was kind of like of the CTO doing some conferences, but he didn't have time at time because he need to do the work of a CTO. And so yeah, I was like hired the first one. It was so right now we kind of thinking about also how to uh not really analyze, but it's more like analyze define the objective of developer advocacy at Gatling, what we want to do because you can have like 1,000 developer advocate and each one can do like something typically different. Like one can just do article, other one just do public speaking. So we need to define it.
Oh yeah, that's right. And you said that like you were working with like other department like the technical team. Did you say sales or maybe?
Yeah, sales.
Yeah. So how is it how is it working as a developer advocate like working with the other departments?
So first, like for me, like it's pretty good at Gatling because they they don't really judge you. For example, it's really a good atmosphere. Like they welcome you. And so for tech team, it's pretty easy because before I was like software engineer, so it was I know some stuff. I'm not like a I would say a newbie, so I know some stuff, so I can easily talk to them. Even if I'm not like a network expert, sometimes I'm like just I really don't know what they talk about on network, but it's pretty good, and it's kind of like it's the same thing as, for example, you and me is kind of like two colleagues, friends, just talking about technology. For example, if I need help with a network protocol with Gatling, they just do a Google Meet in like I would say 5 minutes. It depends of also the calendar, but in 5 minutes I go in a Google Meet. They explain me, and on sales, I think it's at Gatling in the case of Gatling is important because also like we want developer advocacy to evangelize Gatling, but also like having some clients. So it's at Gatling, it's kind of a natural connection between marketing and sales.
No, I like that. I mean, quite often when I talk to developer advocates, and I was like that, I didn't really like the sales team, if I want to be honest, and or the marketing team. But it's because I work with teams that were not, I don't know how to say that and stay polite, but they were not too good at understanding, or I was not good at telling them what I was doing, and they saw like if it were if we were conflicting in terms of like our
Yeah,
goals, which like was not a case, but at some point I work with wonderful marketing team that understood that like we each have our own goals, but they connect together. Like at the end of the day, we want the company to be successful, and it was the same thing with the sales team. Like I work with really bad sales team that were and when I say bad sales team is like I think they were good at what they were doing in terms of like bringing money, but like it was like just about it was about selling at all cost. And my job as a developer advocate is to connect with people. So if you're not a pr- proper user or potential customers and or product doesn't make sense for us, I'm not going to try to force it down your throat. And it
yeah,
didn't work well with that sales team. But I work with one of the startup where the sales team were amazing, and we had that chemistry where like, hey, what can I do to help you close your deal? Not in terms of like me selling stuff, but like, is there something missing in the documentation, or is there a video tutorial that would help you close the deal or help you stop repeating the question, or stop answering the same question that like potential customers, paid customers have. And it's important to work with other department, I think, to be successful as a developer advocate. So I love that you brought that right away when I asked you like,
yeah.
what is your role?
No, but in fact, right now, like at Gatling, I think for the marketing aspect at Gatling, like, it's pretty good. But I think also the advantage of being under marketing and not like tech, etc. It's you don't really have like you have the same objective. They don't really you
Hmm.
don't really have a conflict of objective because it's kind of the same department. So and for sales, yeah, they are not like, okay, we will close deal like at any price. It's more like, okay, so you go into meetup, conferences, you talk to developers. What are the question? What they like about the project? What they don't like? It's more about like getting feedback for the
Oh, nice.
sales. getting feedback for them, and also when we do webinar, checking with if maybe they have some person of interest. But it's not like it's more like, okay, for example, if I do a webinar, it will be more the first question will be, oh, we evangelize the project. And after, if in the attendee you have some, I don't know, like some people from Microsoft or other company, after the sales say, okay, we will talk to him or this person, for example.
Yeah, no,
Like,
that sounds good.
it's not driven by sales, the developer, like the developer advocate. So it's good.
That's a good thing because it's one of the things I always say. Like I care about selling because I mean, like I want the company successful. And let's be honest, I pretty like having a paycheck, and it depends on like paid customers to bring money in the company. But at the same time, it's not my job, so I'm gonna help. Fill the top of the funnel. I'm gonna help to find potential customers, but I'm not gonna be the salesperson. Like there's people that do that job way better than I could do it. So totally agree with that.
Yeah.
I saw with your profile that sorry, were you going to say add
No,
something?
I was just saying like just to sum up, not sum up, to conclude on it. Like even developer, like if you go into conference and you try to sell,
Hmm.
developers see it and they just they just go away.
Yeah, no, I'm allergic to that. I mean, like the for me as a developer, like I'm a developer advocate, but I still consider myself a developer. It's in the title, and this is what I was doing full time before being a developer advocate, and I'm still technical. But if you try to sell me too much, you basically are losing me. Like for me as
Mm.
a developer, the best sales pitch is just have a good product,
Yeah,
and let me know how I can use it. If it's not intuitive, like you have proper documentation and video tutorials, and the sales pitch should be done by itself. If you have a great product. So again, I'm not saying we don't need sales team, because sometimes you need to like shake the trees a little bit, or like just like get your foot into the door at a company or something like that. But like as developer, like if you try to sell me your product way too much, it's not going to work. If you're too intense
yeah,
about like me being a paid customer, I'm going to become like, if your product brings value to me, I'm going to become a paid customer, because that's going to bring value to me, and I need to pay to do whatever I want to do, be successful. But like if you force it too much, as you said, like
yeah,
developer, they back off when you try to sell too much.
yeah. I don't really like it.
Yeah. I understood that like Gatling is not your first developer advocate role. You were also at Canonical.
Mm.
How was the experience as a developer advocate? Actually, there was developer advocate at. I'm looking at your LinkedIn profile
It
right
was
now.
it was
Office
good.
of the CDO. So what
Yeah.
does that mean?
Office of CTO is kind of just like a small team working with some like internal projects, and they are directly like we have one manager, which is not the CTO, but the CTO is in direct contact with the team. So it's one of the reasons it's called Office of CTO. And the thing with developer advocate at Canonical is kind of different of the one at Gatling. It's kind of the same mission, but it's different because you don't need to build, I would say, like a reputation of the tool, because
Yeah.
the tool of Canonical is already known, already used, etc. The only thing which is maybe much harder, it's to, I think, to evangelize the project, because I have a lot of project and you need to say like, okay, like for example, me, it was like a container image. So it was a tool called Warcraft, which has the same language uh, as Snapcraft, which is another tool of Canonical. And the main idea was mostly to say, okay, so I don't know, like if you create a snap, so you package an application for Ubuntu, etc. It's pretty easy to create a container image of it. And it was kind of the strategy for developer advocate.
Hmm.
It was kind of it was not like thinking of one project, but more of the ecosystem. So it's kind of different of what I do at Gatling.
Yeah, and I heard what you said about like it's you don't like people know the company. I mean, like people know Canonical, or at least if they don't know the name of the company, they like you say, oh, it's Ubuntu. Like it's
Yeah,
not the only
it's
thing, but like people are like, oh, okay, yeah, I know the company. It's
yeah. The
it's
thing is you don't really like. For example, when I am at Gatling, when I say about Gatling, I saw people don't really know don't really know the company, so you need to define it, etc. When you say Canonical, yeah, you need to say Ubuntu for some people. They go, oh, Ubuntu, I know it, etc. So people already know it, know what is it, the project, etc. So you, I think you avoid to you can directly go into the project and explain this to them.
Yeah, no, I had the similar experience like where I am right now, Construct. We're a fairly new company. We've rebranded recently, like before it was Cube First. So like Construct is even newer, even if the company is not as new as like the company name. But like we're a small startup. So sometimes it's nice. Sometimes I talk to people and they know us. Most of the time I need to introduce ourselves and like say who we
Mm.
are. But I remember when I was working at like Microsoft or Mozilla or Fitbit. Usually, like people know those company, and
Yeah,
it was also nice not having to like explain the company and just jump right away into whatever discussion. Like even when I was, I saw it also. Sometimes I was invited to speak at conferences. It's a little bit sad, but it was not. It was not even because it was me or because my content was good. It
it's
was because like, oh,
because
the company
Microsoft.
was nice, or especially with my like for Mozilla, people really loved the brand because it was during the years where Mozilla was like, I was going to say relevant. Mozilla is still relevant, but like what even more because there was the high E stuff like Internet Explorer and like everybody was
Okay.
just like the web standard were not that good so Mozilla was a force to try to make web standard like a thing and not people coding only for Internet Explorer and giving
Mm.
like another browser also that was not just Chrome based, which I feel like we still need even more today because now every freaking browser is Chrome based.
Everything is.
Everything is like, so I feel like we're back to the Internet Explorer days. But I mean, like people love the brand really much, so it was real nice to just say like, hey, I work at Mozilla. And as I said, it was nice and sad because I was like, yeah, people were not accepting me for like, oh, you're a good speaker, your content is interesting because it was Mozilla. And it wasn't with Microsoft, that was the same thing. But it's because most conference organizer were expecting me to sponsor the event
Yeah,
if
yeah,
they
yeah.
accepted my talk, because they were like, this is the thing that people don't understand. You work for a big company, so you may have had that experience, but even when you work for a big company, which the company itself has a lot of money, but like you're one person or one team within that big corporation that have like multiple teams. So I didn't have millions of budget as a developer advocate was when I was at Microsoft. So I had to, like, I was able to sponsor, I don't know, 3-4 events per year, and I
Yeah, it's
didn't have like
pretty.
a finite, like I have a finite number of money that I could spend on those, and it was not that much because I was like one team out of like I don't know how many thousands teams we had on Microsoft. So people don't always understand those kind of things. I was like, yeah, sometimes like in some startup, I had more budget as a developer advocate than I had like when I was at Microsoft because I was like we were a smaller team and developer advocate was important. So anyway, I'm
Yeah,
blabbering
no,
now.
no, but also it's kind of like also it's kind of expensive sometimes to sponsor.
It is.
It's kind of expensive, and but yeah, like I join you on the fact that yeah, sometimes you just maybe it's just my opinion, but sometimes I think when you got like when you are working at big tech or big company, Microsoft, Canonical, Google, I think it's more easy for the person to be accepting like CFP more than like I would not say a random person. It's more like, for example, with a person with the same background but coming from
Yeah.
I don't know like a small startup, etc.
Yeah, because I mean, I've organized conferences and I also understand that. I mean, it's nice to be able to put on the website, oh, we have speaker from company X, or on your sponsorship prospectus, you say like, oh, in the past we had like this company being on a stage. So I can understand why. And at the same time, let's be honest. I mean, like I don't I like I don't know how to say that. I mean, like. I would prefer that people select me as a speaker because I'm a good speaker or they think I'm a good
Oh, yeah.
speaker and I have interesting topic or interesting knowledge to share on the stage. But at the same time, part of my job is to get visibility about whatever I'm going to talk about in the company. So if I've been selected because I work at a company that people want to have on stage, I mean, yeah, okay, my ego may be bruised a little bit, but at the end, the results are the same. I'm on the stage
Yeah,
and I'm being able to do my job.
no, but yeah, totally. I agree with you. But also, it's permit for conferences to say, "Oh, we have speaker from this big company," and it's kind of sort of like for example, the viewers, like a person will come, take the conference, you say, "Oh, you have a talk with Microsoft One or Google One," and they will just buy the ticket more than its small conferences, I think.
Yeah. Yeah, no, no, it's the case, the case. One last question about your your career. Uh, Being a developer advocate was not your first job. Like you started, you were a software engineer, like most developer advocate. But I'm always curious to understand why the move, why going from a developer role, an engineer role, to a developer advocate role.
Yes, but so first, like before I got my diploma, I have done like a apprenticeship to get my engineering degree. It was mostly in DevOps, so it was 2 years in DevOps. I got my diploma in 2022. So right now, not really 3 years ago because it was in September. So in September it will be 3 years ago. But the thing is, when I joined Canonical, and like you said, I'm French, and developer advocate is not really something really, I would say, famous in France. I never uh, know about this job before Canonical. Like I was,
Yeah.
I didn't know this job exists. So I joined Canonical as software engineers. I was with like the PM of Canonical. I was of my team. I was talking to him about, oh, it's great that you do conferences. He, he also have done conferences, but it's more like a project manager. And I was thinking about doing the thing between PM and Devrel. At this time at Canonical, I didn't know if I wanted to do PM or Devrel.
Okay.
And at the end, I was like my manager, like talk to me and say, okay, to what people you want to talk? Do you want to talk more in terms of business,
Hmm.
or more in terms of developers, like technical? And after I say technicals, and after I learn about developer advocates, and also you got one developer advocate at Canonical. So it's kind of like a senior developer advocate. You have some books about Linux, about love, about love, etc. So it's kind of really a big developer advocate. And I joined, and it was pretty easy. Like I really love what I've done, conferences, etc. I watch it. And it was pretty easy to switch at Canonical because it was kind of like going into my manager saying, okay, I want to switch to this. The other manager say yes, and I just switch. I
Oh
think it
wow.
was kind of the same. I think it was kind of like the same time in. I think it was kind of like in December, October of December in the next year, so in 2023. But yeah, it was pretty easy to switch.
That's interesting. Like usually in big companies, it's quite complicated to switch from one role to the other, especially and one team from the other. So that's great that Canonical make it easy for you.
Yeah,
And
after also like you have some one important point. It's you can switch, but they will put you at the same level. Like for example, at the same level.
okay.
So if you are I don't know, like an associate software engineer, you will be put as an associate dev. It's kind of normal, I would say.
Yes
It's
and
kind of
no. I
yes.
mean, yeah, because like being let's say you're a senior level or principal, whatever you call it, level as a software engineer, you bring experience that will definitely benefit the developer advocate role, but it does not
Yes.
mean that you're like a senior developer advocate because the skill set is different too. So I'm not against that, and but I would say
No,
that like
totally.
it may not always be the case, but it's true. I've seen that a lot in like many companies. I think it's just like internal processes in terms of like
Yeah,
what's your pay grade and stuff like that. So you need to stay at the same level. Um,
I think, yeah, I think maybe even like in term of, like you said, in term of papers, like because it will maybe weird for like if you go like I don't know, like associate software engineer to DevRel to senior DevRel.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
like
So it's yeah, I've
you
seen
win
that.
three. Yeah, it's possible, but
Yeah.
it can be
Yeah, but
possible.
I remember that that happened to be. I've only seen it once. Actually, when I was at Microsoft, so talking about the company, someone who joined our team joined as a senior developer advocate, and it was his first job as a developer advocate. But because he worked for Microsoft a couple of years ago, within the policy, they had to give him at the minimum the same level it was before, and he was in a senior other technical
Yeah.
role. So it was amazing at what he was doing. So for him, it works well. I think he started the job and he felt like it was already a senior person, but even himself was saying like, "Hey, I'm not a senior developer advocate. Like, I mean, like it's my first job. I'm
Mm,
starting. I need to learn how the job is working. Like, I want to do that, but I've never done it professionally, and I need to understand. I need to get experience, but like didn't have the choice to give him the senior title, even if he was not a senior in that specific role.
yeah.
But again, it's complicated too because it's not black and white. Meaning, like
Mm.
this guy was really good, and he came with a lot of background, a lot of experience in other roles that pertain to like a developer advocate role. So I think in the end, it kind of makes sense too.
But it's kind of also, I think, maybe like complicated to really have um, like a thing to do associate to associate, because it's not really the same, as you said, the same job. Like it's you
Yeah,
need to understand how to present, how to do slide, which is like
yeah.
a like the first thing I learned at Canonical was to do great slide. So you need to do slide, you need to understand doing some marketing. Uh, I know you will not like it, but doing some, I would, it's not really sales, but it's more like, I think it's more pre-sales. So like try
Hmm.
to give him the, because you have like, sometimes you just have 20 minutes to talk about the product. So you need to be, it, yeah, it's not really sales, but to display the great benefit of the tool to the person, but it's not really sales directly.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. No, it makes sense. Makes sense. So Samir, we've been talking for a little more than 30 minutes. I usually try to keep it about 30-minute maximums because we're I always say that quote unquote jokes, but like we're developer advocates, we could talk for hours. But I guess that would be time for us to move to the demo part of the show. And just before we move that, I want to thank again our sponsor, Construct, which is my employer, because they support the Devrel show. They give me time to work on my personal live stream. So thanks a lot. If you are in the cloud native space, please go on construct.io. We have two products that could be super interesting for you, Colony. And we have KubeFirst, which is an instant GitOps platform. Go check. Let me know how it goes if you tried it. And also, my mic should not pick it up, but I have two cats in my office right now. You can see one right behind me,
Yeah, you
and they
wake up
are
for
sleeping. Sorry?
you wake up for 2 seconds and
Yeah, I
and after
wake up
just
once in a while, but like when they fall asleep, like they are snoring. Like my mic should not pick them up. But like if you heard some like ambient noise, background noise, that it's my cats they're super loud when they snore. My mic should not pick it up again, but like just in case if you hear it, there's no issue with your headphones, folks, or your speakers. It's my cat who is snoring way too loud. So on that note, Samir, you wanted to show us some Gatling technology with Postman.
mm,
So the screen is yours.
so let me
And
share it.
folks, feel free to ask any questions, leave any comments about the demo or everything we've talked before. And yeah, let's do that.
So do you see like Postman or
I see Postman.
okay? So first, like a lot of people doing API testing. So it's not really a new sector, but a lot of them are doing like it with Postman for API functional testing. So it's kind of pretty easy. So right now, what I have is just a project with a computer database website. So let me just show it. The computer database, it's really a simple website. It's not the good, it's all style website. Like maybe we need to upgrade the CSS, but it's kind of like just a catalog of computers. So you have the computer name, company, etc., IBM. You can search, you can browse. Like for example,
I understand those
sh-
kind of websites. I'm good to create like
it's
the
it's a
business
demo
logic
one.
behind it, but the visual, I'm bad with visual. Like I need a proper designer to go after me and like do beautiful stuff with CSS
Yeah.
and shit.
Yeah, it's kind of the same thing because I'm more like a backend, like DevOps backend person. So sometimes I'm like, oh, I don't really understand why I need to add like 100 line of CSS.
Yeah, it's working.
Yeah, so I have like a lot of lists, so like search to just doing testing of the search, browse, etc. And uh, uh, like it's right now it was kind of pretty complicated to do performance testing, so load testing. And what we have done at Gatling, it's pretty easy. So if you have like a collection, you just need to click on the three dots, not this one, up, this one, on the three dot, and you export it. So we export your collection, and you will export your environment variable. Oh, let me just open my Visual Studio. Yeah, I think I need to zoom in.
Yeah, I was going to say it. You were proactive.
I have done a lot of meetup and a lot of time you need to zoom. Let me, oh, voilà. So what we have done is typically an integration between Gatling, so Gatling is a testing tool, and Postman. It's mostly right now working with JavaScript and TypeScript. So if you do some TypeScript, you can also use it. If you do just JavaScript, you can use it. And so in resource, what I have here is kind of the environment variable. So I have the URL of my website, some title, some it's enabled. And in the collection, I have all the list of URL. So for example, the chair, the gates, request, etc. And so what is the main advantage of Gatling? The main advantage of Gatling is load test as code. So typically what it means is you create your scenarios by developing. So you do a JavaScript script or JavaScript or etc. So it means that you can easily put it into GitHub, GitLab, Bitbucket, SVN if you use SVN. I was not even born when people were using SVN, but if you
Oh
want to
god,
install it.
don't say that. Oh my god, I'm feel
No, but
old right now.
no, but I used SVN one time at the apprenticeship. I used SVN. There was still an SVN and not on Git, so I know what is it.
God, it's not.
And so, like the scenario or its work typically is you import everything from Gatling, so the core, Postman, etc. And here, what it does, this thing mostly is just importing the collection and the environment into Gatling and create a protocol. So the protocol, you can see it as where the action will take place. And after we have two scenarios. So scenarios is kind of what the user will do into your website. And the user scenarios is coming from Postman. So the user scenarios users, it will be, let me just check collection. So it's this one. So this user scenarios. So for example, when Gatling will send one user to your website, first you will do search, and after you will do browse. It's same thing. So now if I go back, up, and after you can also just select one type of request. So instead of doing the whole list of requests, you can just select one. If you want, you can do just request search, just browse, edit a form, or edit. So for example, here I can do, okay, maybe I just want to launch this one, or I just want to launch this one. And what is also, sorry, up, pretty good is you can mix. You can say, okay, so I want my request for Postman to be launched, but maybe after I want to do a request to, let me just do this, give it a name, so test. After I can easily just say this. Let me just, I can easily combine like between HTTP requests, so made by Alsef on Gatling and also on Postman.
Mhm.
So it's pretty easy to combine this type of two. I will let it. And after you have just a setup, so the setup is kind of the way you're sending users. For example, because you have a multiple way to send users, the three main thing is you can like thinking at Black Friday. Or maybe you, I don't know, like your startup is on TV, so you got 1 million people coming at the same time into your website. Uh, After you can have maybe like, for example, I don't know, like a typical website. For example, you have 5 users every 5 minutes. So I time 0, you have 5 users. 5 minutes after, you have 10 users. And the last one, it's most like try to find some bugs and some memory leak. So you send 1 million user for 3 weeks, for example. It, it's kind of like it's permit for you to find bugs and memory leak, but you need to do this not in production. And also, which is something really important before I launch the demo. So right now, Gatling Postman, because we have at Gatling we have an open source version and a paid version. You can use Gatling Postman with the open source version, but you are limited to 5 users. And on Gatling Enterprise, unlimited. So now, if I add this and this, so if you want to just run this, you go to JavaScript, you do npm install to install the library. And after I will let me so on the open source one, you just need to run npx gatling run. It will compile it and run it. But also you can directly yep. Okay, so I'm also okay, you saw my screen because like the thing was disappearing just below, so I was like, maybe I click on the wrong button. But if you want to put it on Enterprise, first you need to package it. So it's pretty easy. So it's Gatling Enterprise package. And you have a zip file just here on package.zip. And now if I just go into Gatling Enterprise, so Gatling Enterprise is the paid version of Gatling. We have a free shares. So if you want just to try it, you can easily create an account and you will have some credits. So now I will just go into simulation. I will create a new one, test as code. I will create a new package, name, Postman, Postman Devrel. You can choose a theme. So a theme is pretty good because you can say, okay, so this package will be only for the front-end team or the back-end team or the DevOps team or every team if you want. Now we'll just put, yeah, now I need to find the good the good folders because I don't remember normally it's desktop. Yeah, it's here,
Oh,
so it's good.
yeah, okay. I
Yeah,
was
it's
going
kind
to
of like
say
the
what I learned to do is just call my folder demo and put it like on
yeah,
desktop or something. So because that happened to me too often. I'm like,
yeah,
where
like
did I
20
put?
minutes. So now you just give a simulation name. You choose simulation, so it's computer database. And after, what is also pretty good with Gatling Enterprise is you have kind of multiple way of sending the user. So the first one is manage. So typically it will be Gatling will send the users. So for example, can send user from Hong Kong, Tokyo, Paris, US, not Canada for now. I don't I don't say Canada.
You need
Uh,
to change that.
but one thing can be just use private because private location it's mostly we will use ours like your servers to send the user. For example,
Okay.
if you have one server in Canada, you can just plug in and they will send user. Sometimes it's because a lot of some clients don't want the application to be available on internet, so they need to have their own servers. And so now I
That
just
makes
use
sense.
Paris and North California. Also, you can say, like, for example, I don't know, like you have a e-commerce application. You can say, I want 60% of people coming from Paris and the rest from the US. Because maybe you do more sales in Paris than North California, etc. You can also like put some parameters, so environment variables, some key, etc. Time window is mostly for if you have some ramp up and run down. So it's more in terms of like when we send the user how much time they will be on it. And stop criteria is pretty good. It's a new addition because a lot of time, like I will showcase it after. I will show it after, but a lot of people and clients use Gatling Enterprise for the CI/CD integration. because we have a lot of CI/CD integration with GitHub CI, GitLab, etc. And a lot of them just run like Gatling on the CI/CD. So they don't really click on all the button, but sometimes maybe they do I don't know, like a modification on the API, and the load testing is bad because of a broken API thing. So now you can just say, okay, so now if my response time is more than, I don't know, like 3 hours, maybe it's a problem, so I need to stop the
Yeah.
test. So now after that, you just need to click on save and launch. And now we will just build the what the name, the simulation for you. So now while we wait on this, so first we have not publication but integration. So we have a lot of integration. So first, for Maven, Gradle, and SBT, it's mostly Maven and Gradle is mostly if you use Java. So we have some package. If you use Java, we have some
Yeah.
package to be launched with Maven or Gradle. For JavaScript, it's mostly you can run it when you do npm install, after you do npx Gatling run, and that's it. And we have a lot of integration with Jenkins, which is pretty old. I also use it, but it's kind of pretty old. I use it also. I use it. But it's kind of a
Jenkins
nightmare
used
way.
Jenkins used to be what the cool kids were using in the days that was like all the rage.
After you have also like the GitLab CI, GitHub Action, Argo. You can also, but this one, like SQL CI or CI script. CI script is mostly a script that you can customize for your own uh, CI/CD. And for APM, we have Dynatrace. More incoming in terms of APM. Right now we're just Dynatrace, but more are coming if you use like Datadog, New Relics.
Hmm.
For New Relics, we're kind of working on it. And after it's kind of notification, you have Slack and Teams, not Discord. Maybe Discord one day. I don't really know if a lot of companies use Discord.
Yeah,
And
yeah. Company, like there's a lot of community using Discord, but like company is usually Slack
yeah,
or
mostly Slack.
Team.
Right now it's Slack. I prefer Slack than Teams.
Yeah,
And yeah, and here is a whole list of protocols. So it began to HTTP, SSC, you can use it, like for example, for LLM, newsfeed, etc. You have WebSocket, GMS, MQTT, and gRPC. And just before going into the simulation, right now for JavaScript and TypeScript, we only support HTTP. And for Java, Kotlin, and Scala, you can check all the protocol. So now if I go back into simulation, it's finished. Let's go. So first, what you have when you go into simulation, you have the trend. So the trend, it's like right now, since I only launch one, it's not really a great thing to check.
yeah,
But
yeah.
when you
You won't
do
have
a
much
lot,
data.
yeah, when you do a lot of simulation, you can see if you are like better, or it's maybe you just are like it's not really an improvement. So now I just click on one. And first, you have a small resume, like a small summary of things. It's really I think, like the more information that people look. So for example, you can see what trigger it, the name of the simulation, what it's run, the like people coming from North California and Paris. You can also see the error ratio. So sometimes if you have like, I don't know, like 404, you will see that you have some error ratio, and you will get a message at the end saying web page not found, or authentication issue, etc. You have the number of total requests, concurrent user, and the response time. So you see that right now it's taking less, like 200 milliseconds. But if you go really deep into it, you have the report page. So now the report page, you have more information. So you can see like the response, if it's all okay or KO. KO, it's mostly that you have some errors. You can also see the response by status. So for example, right now we have 200, we're also 203. And so right now this is for the world scenarios. But if you have a lot of requests, you can filter it. So for example, if you only want to check by, I don't know, like browse, you can only have the statistic for browse. Also, you can check if you have multiple scenarios for admin. So you can customize it. Also, you can say, I want only the information between 1 second and So for example, you can say, okay, I want the information only for this time.
Oh, okay.
Or yeah, because sometimes like people doing a lot, like sometimes 30 minutes
Yeah,
and people just want to do this, and you can just have this information.
it's nice UI.
Also, yeah. Thanks. I would say I would say thanks for I would say to the front end team because if it was me doing the front end, I don't think it will be the same. So I was doing the front end.
I hear you.
And yeah, also you can see the virtual user, so like how much you have, how much concurrent user you have, and when like the termination user. So it's pretty good for QA team. It's more like for QA team and developers, so they really understand all the information. And also load generators. You can have a lot of information about the load generators. So the load generators is a server coming from Paris or North California. You can see, for example, the CPU usage, the heap usage. So for example, I don't know, like you see that your load testing is crashing. You can directly check if maybe it's just the CPU. So right now we just see that we have just like 10% of the CPU and it's really nothing. And after you can also like see the logs if you want. It's you can have the log, and I will finish on it. But if you want, you can also just share a public link. So you can also say I want it to expire uh, like today. I will just put tomorrow. No, yeah, well, not Friday. So I will put Friday. I can generate it. And now, normally, if everything works, yeah, you don't need to be authenticated if you share it with somebody. You will share the link, and the person can just be connected. So it's kind of pretty cool if you want to share it to the business side, for example, or a team which is not in Gatling. And also, you can export it. For example,
Oh,
you can
that's nice.
say you can create a custom report. You can say you can put a title. Also, if you do this, yep, on the custom reports, we will take into account that you use the range of time.
Oh, good.
And after you can just preview and say like save it, preview, print a PDF. And I think it's
It's a nice feature though
all.
because like sometimes you need to pay per seat, and it's I feel like it's not always honest when like you need to pay for a seat just for someone to see the
Yeah,
data. So I like that.
yeah. So a lot of tools like this when you when you
Yeah.
need to pay for just. But the thing is, like the main thing at Gatling, you're not paid by seats. It's mostly you buy some credit. So it kind of depends. So you can buy some credits, or you just talk with the sales teams and they like you talk about your project. You say you want to load test, I
Mhm.
don't know, like the API with 1 million users, and the sales team say, okay, so you need for this. They do some proof of concept. It's not like a random step. They do proof of concept, etc., and they show you that you need, I don't know, like 200 credit. It's small, 200, but 200 credit. And after you just pay each month. You just pay 200 credit. And in case of Gatling, you pay is depend of the load test you do. So the simulation you do.
Okay.
So it's not like one credit is not one simulation. It's kind of depending by the time. For example, if you do, I don't know, like a simulation of 1 hours, you will not have the same credit on one
Yeah.
simulation of 5 minutes, for example. But I
Yeah.
think
Makes sense.
for me, I think it's better like this because it's permit to but not paid by seats typically. Like if you want to share it, I know a lot of tools are doing this, and sometimes you just
Yeah.
try to invite somebody just to check something, and you're like, oh,
Exactly.
I need to pay $20 just to add
Yeah.
it. So
Yeah.
sometimes at the end you just do a screen share of your screen, or you just download it.
Yeah, no, makes sense. Awesome. Thanks for the demo. Interesting integration. I shared link. Well, we're demoing, so there is that link. Postman integration. There is a blog article that will explain to you the integration
Mm.
itself, and there's also the demo that you've done. The code is available on
Yeah, yes, the
GitHub
code
too.
is available. If you go into the article, you will find the link. I think it's maybe when it explains the code and shows the code, you will have the link to the GitHub repository.
Is the code available in SVN?
If I say to the CTO of the tech team, if you want to put
God,
this
no.
on SVN, I'm not sure if I can come back again to to this.
Yeah,
No,
no,
but in fact,
it may not happen.
the only one time I used SVN was at like the National Frequency Agency. It's a public agency in France, which mostly like
Mm,
just use frequency. And I was like, okay, so I need to do some stuff. It was ETL, so it was like data like transform some data, analyze and transform. And I was like, okay, so where I put the code? Do I put it on GitHub or I just oh no, we have SVN? And I was like, and it's really a nightmare. I understand like why Linux don't really like Linux Torvald don't really want SVN. It's kind of a nightmare when you need to do code review.
if you think SVN is old, that was the second, actually probably the third file versioning tool that I used. Prior to that, I used CVS. That was like quite
Oh yeah.
popular before SVN, and I used another one that I don't remember that was also quite popular. Oh no, that was also at the same time as
Microsoft.
CVS, but there was like something that Microsoft had. I can't remember
Uh,
the name. It was not when I was at Microsoft. It was when I was a software developer. But it was a Microsoft technology. I can't remember the name. But in
I
any cases, like when I moved from CVS to SVN, I was like, oh, there's an improvement. And when I was quote unquote forced to use Git, I was like, that's the worst thing ever, because that was like Git was so much more complicated than SVN,
yeah.
but so much more powerful. And now I would never go back. Like I love Git and I know how to use it, but like when you move from a technology, SVN was basically like you check the file and that's it. But like you were not able to do uh, everything you're able to do with Git. So there's a lot more benefit to use Git, but like it was
Mm.
way more complicated than SVN. So at the beginning there was a pain in the ass. I was like, I don't like Git, and now I would never go back. I'm a huge Git fan, but it was not a case when I started to use it.
Yeah, but what? No, but the thing it was weird because like like when I was doing like my engineering degrees, so it was like first year. What you do, you just learn about C, about Java, etc. And what we do, we just put on GitLab. So you use Git. And when I was like at that's not because I see like first day I was like, oh, you have a GitLab or like GitHub or GitLab? And say, no, you just need to install Tor. I just remember the name Tortoise,
Which was
SVN, yeah,
CSV or SVN. Oh,
SVN,
SVN, they also have
SVN,
SVN.
and they just oh no, you just click on this file. But after it's one of the advantage is it's pretty easy to use it. Like you just go into your folder, you click on the
Yeah.
you click on you select the file, you right click add and can you click on the button. Sometimes with Git, but I also prefer Git, but it's not like you, but like my man, like I learned Git at the beginning. But I think yeah, sometimes it's pretty hard to like for example, the first time I have done Git, what's the name of it to rewrite? Oh yeah, Git squash. I was
Mm.
like, oh what is happening? Like when I was rewatching the Git history, I was like, what happening? Did I break something? Because the thing is, it was like on the canonical Git repository on the project. Like when you do a lot of time when you do a PR, they want to squash the commit.
Mhm.
So you squash the commit. So like this only one. And one day I was like, okay, I never have done this before. No chat GPT. So it was kind of like an obscure Git Git tutorials. And after it's worked, but it's kind of sometimes when you touch about the Git story, sometimes it can really be a nightmare or don't really understand what you are doing. Or maybe I'm just not a Git expert. It can
Yeah,
be
you get used to it, but yeah, at the beginning, it's terrifying because this is like there's a lot of ways that Git helps you not to mess up things, but when you start to rebase stuff or like you start
yeah.
to play with the history, this is where you can mess things up. So this is where you need a little more experience with Git. But I'm a terminal person, a command line person, so I use the command line. But I've heard pretty good things about like also graphical user interface for Git. Like there's a great integration within VS Code. I
Yeah.
think I don't know if it's still the case, but I think GitHub had a desktop client too if you use GitHub.
Uh, I
Um,
f-
that I heard was pretty good too.
I
Um,
remember. I don't think if they still have it. I remember saw it on GitHub. That they display it on like
yeah.
open on GitHub. Don't remember the name, but yeah. But at Canonical, yeah, a lot of time I was doing on terminal because I was software engineer, so it's pretty easy
Mhm.
to just open terminal. But at the end, yeah, the VSC. Yeah, don't judge me, people. I know the VSC. Sometimes people don't like it, like Visual Studio Code. People like Vim, but I like Visual Studio Code. But yeah, the integration is good, even for I know it's good, but I don't remember for Rebase if it's good or not. I think that for Rebase, they help you with conflict when you do Rebase. They help you like they think, oh, you are a conflict here, and they showcase um, the true file with the conflict.
Mhm.
So on this is good. After for some part, it's like if you just do say like git add, git add point, git commit, git git commit and git push. Yeah, the graphical interface of just your code is great.
Yeah. Yeah. Awesome, man. It's late for you. It's already 10 p.m. Thanks again for sharing about developer relation, sharing about your career, the demo about Gatling, also the integration with Postman. That was great. Thanks for taking the time again. That was a pleasure to have you on the show. Is there anything else you want to share with the audience before we end the live stream?
Mm. So first, thank you for having me. The only
Pleasure.
thing I think it will be so maybe like if you have people doing software engineering and want to do the switch, I think the best way before doing the switch is maybe to just doing some meetup because you have a lot of meetup, like especially in Paris. So maybe it's also because I'm like near Paris, so you have a lot of meetup. And sometimes it's just pretty cool, and it's kind of also a great training to do some talk at meetup.
Yeah.
So I will say to people like to go to meetup, find people, talking to them, and also talk even if you are a junior, because me, I'm not a senior developer advocate, I'm just like a junior one, and it's pretty good to do like some meetup to improve.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I totally agree. And if you are starting to do public speaking, it's usually easier to speak at meetups than
Yeah,
conferences because usually meetups will meet once a month, so they need at least one speaker per month. But usually it's free, so there's a little less pressure to have like super experienced speaker because it's not like a conference where people pay for tickets. And usually meetups are they get a lot less. Quote unquote submission that like when there's a conference and they have like a
yeah,
CFP open, a call for speaker, a call for paper, they get a lot of submissions, so it's a little bit harder to get selected. There's a couple of conferences that do that blind selection where they just see like the abstract and the title, they don't see the
yeah,
experience, the name of the speaker, the company of the speaker, which I think give uh, which is good because it gives a chance to everybody. It's bad for me because I cannot show like because every time I submit a talk I'm
oh,
like, hey, here's the list of like the 100 talks that I've given before with slides and recordings, so that like that
yeah,
show that I've have experience, so that helps me. But at the same time I don't want to have old fart on the stage like me all the time. We need to have like
yeah, but now,
younger, new, less experienced people on the stage to share
yeah,
new perspective and other stuff. So do it. So meetups is a great place. And if you are new to public speaking, go check fred.dev slash public speaking. I put a lot of tips about giving talks, just to like how to give the talks. I have other article about how to submit to CFP and stuff like that. So go check that out. So again, thanks again, Samir. It was a pleasure having you. Everybody, thanks for joining us live. You were pretty quiet today, but I still love you. And thanks for people who's going to watch the recording. That's going to be available on YouTube right away. And again, if you are a developer advocate watching us and you would love to be in the show, no need to have extensive experience. You just need to do the job. And I'm going to be more than happy to have you as a guest. I still have 4 spots left for 2025. So thanks again for joining us. And we're going to see each other in 2 weeks for the next Devrel show. Bye, everybody.